Andrea Giovino's life took a dramatic turn when she became entangled with the Gambino crime family and crossed paths with John Gotti, the infamous Teflon Don.
I started going out in Manhattan, and I met John Gotti through Mark Ryder.
See, your second husband, was there never a chance that he could have got killed because he was with you?
No. Frank Lino and I left off on good terms. He knew that I was a good kid. Yeah, he knew that I just wanted to have a better life for
How old was he, Frank?
He was 43.
And you were 22?
I was 22. Yeah.
That in itself's weird.
It was just not good. But then when I went into Manhattan and I met, that night when I met John Gotti, that in itself, I recognized when they were sitting up at, we would call it the dais, like when you're married, you sit up at that big table. He was there with a bunch of guys. I recognized that these guys are street guys because they carry themselves a certain way. You know, they're very polished. They dress very nice. They wear a lot of the jewelry. Back then, they would wear the big diamond pinky ring.
Confident.
Yeah, very...
Are they confident, though? Is that an act?
I think that's an act. You know, knowing what I know today, I didn't know that then. But I think knowing what I know today, a lot of it is they portray this persona in, like, you know, who I am, this big shotism. But then underneath that,
they're afraid.
I think they have low self-esteem. Because when you have to do all of this and project all of this, and really when people can go out and murder and not blink an eye, I mean, you're talking about murder human beings. That's a sick person. That's not like people that have no conscience of that. How do you think a person like that is gonna love anybody? Like that's like love goes out the window, I feel, because look how they make organized crime. That's more important than their own family. That becomes more important to them, to be out in the streets. Their wife and kids are home. They're just being abused on just another level of, here's the money, shut your mouth, and I'm going to go do what I want. That's not a life. That's really not a life. But I think even now, James, I think now that I'm coming out, I'm the only woman really talking about this stuff and being comfortable in my skin to talk about the truth, the facts, and not put on any show. Men don't like it in this genre. They don't like it. Men
get jealous.
They don't like it.
Men are fucking
They're
weird.
making fucking lies about me.
But listen, because everybody wants to be the head show. Everybody wants to be the king, the queen, or whoever it is they want to be. But people don't like when the limelight gets took away from them. Everybody, no matter if it's in a life of crime, a life of fucking positivity, whatever it is, people always want to be
They think
number
like
one.
they should have been in the Get Gotti, like they should have been getting. Who is she? She's a nobody. Nobody knew her. Well, obviously you didn't do your homework, and obviously you're, downing 60 Minutes and Barbara Walters and Netflix and Raw TV because these people did their homework and they did want me. Raw TV told me they interviewed many people, and the reason they wanted me, they told me this just a couple days ago, is because I'm giving a whole different perspective of the woman's view. And they don't like that. They don't want a woman coming out that's tough and strong because that cuts their balls off. Like, who is she? Because a lot of the men that wish they were in the streets, like even fans and stuff, who is she? Well, maybe you're idolizing these guys, but I don't idolize them because I know who they really are. So I was never afraid of anybody, and people did their research. They know who I am. So I think it was a lot of jealousy, just a lot of fucking jealousy. Grown fucking men, this jealous.
Married to a mobster, she lived a double life as a mother and a female gangster, experiencing the highs of wealth and the lows of constant danger.
So what happened then when you came across Gotti for the first time?
So I came across John with Mark Ryder. I met Mark Ryder, And they sent over a bottle of champagne, a bottle of Cristal. I didn't want it. I didn't want to get involved with these guys again. I said, send it back. I knew who they was. Send it back.
Were you attracted to that? Was there something, again, within you were attracted? Because it is a sexy life, no matter how damaging it is.
I'll tell you what I was attracted to. Is you get attracted to, it's like a drug of the excitement. It's excitement. The money. The restaurants. So let's say today you go out with some normal guy. He's not going to go give you Rolexes and diamonds and taking you to 5-star restaurants. Back then, it was big black stretch limousines. They would send a car for you. Here's a car's picking you up. You get in the car with the limo driver, and there's flowers and there's chocolates. I mean, what woman wouldn't like that? But there's a big price. There's a price to that. So now at this time, you have all these guys that are juggling these big cases. You know, they were all being investigated. So the feds were looking to come down on them hard. That was right around the time I was running with all these people. So with that, Mark Ryder comes on the dance floor. I start dancing with him. And
Who's he?
Mark Ryder is very close to John Gotti. He was definitely associated. He was called, right now, he's been in the newspapers here in New York a lot, the King of New York back in the 80s. And the reason they called him the King of New York is because he was a major heroin trafficker. Major. He actually bought Calvin Klein, the designer's apartment here in Manhattan. Loaded. He was loaded. So he was very close to John Gotti. That's how I met John Gotti. I met John Gotti through Mark Ryder. And from that, we would go out like every Tuesday and Thursday night was to be out in the city, because that's the nights that people come out, but it's not as crowded as the weekend. So people would come out from all over, and we'd always frequent the same club, either this club called Club A or Regine's, where a lot of the movie stars would go. These clubs were like A-listers. You couldn't get in them, but yet we didn't have to wait online. The doormen knew us. The minute you pull up, they park your car, and then you go right to the best table in the house.
Did you feel like a celebrity?
I did, because I didn't have... first of all, I love the fact... for me, I love the fact, yeah, put it on their tab. Yeah. Charge them. I love that, like using that. Yeah. So it was fun. It was fun until it all comes down. So with that, there were a Mark Ryder, would be out business or whatever. And then those nights I would go out with friends or with my sister, and I'd sit at John's table, and I didn't interact with John. And then this one night in particular, we were talking. There were several guys there, about 3 or 4 other guys. And these 2 women were there, which were women of the night. And they kept bad-mouthing my girlfriend, like talking bad about her. So I said, John, excuse me. I said to them, please don't talk like that. I said, you're being so disrespectful. She's my girlfriend. She's sitting at the other bar. Stop saying this. They looked at me and continued to do it. So there was a round table, smaller than this. I pushed it. I said, John, move. I, just like that, pushed the table on the 2 of them, pinned them down, picked the bottle up, and started hitting her in the head. With this, at the time, John was being watched by the feds across the bar, filming. So this is all documented. So now, with that, John goes to pull me off of her. I was a very, very angry kid. Very angry kid. I always fought in school up to 7th grade. I guess angry because I was so...
Lack of love.
Lack of love, lack of poverty, shame. I wore a lot of shame, didn't have clothing, didn't have shoes. I was angry. I was an angry kid. So with this, John goes to pull me off of her with the other guys, and I go like this, get the fuck off me. I'm not on your payroll. John loved me. He goes, she's got more balls than some of the guys that are around me. Calls up Mark Ryder the next day and says that. I called her Rocky. He gave me that name, Rocky. Now, people are saying this isn't true. This is all like the jealousy again. So I think with that, John liked me, called me Rocky, gave me that name. And then after that, Mark was being investigated. He had this big case. He was facing 260 years. He had then gotten arrested.
For heroin?
For heroin. And he was on the case with John's brother, John Gotti, Angelo Ruggiero, Anthony Rapino, because people cooperated. So with this cooperated, there was a guaranteed case he was going to jail. So the last time I had seen him was in court. He had called me up. One day didn't show up for court. He skipped town. He took a flight to California, and they couldn't find him for like 2 months. And then the feds had called me. Did he contact you? No, he didn't. I didn't hear from him. But when they actually got him back into MCC, he had contacted me, and I did go because he said, "Can you come to court?" And I did go see him before he got his big conviction. But before that, before he was actually arrested, he came to my house one night with Angelo Ruggiero, which was very close to John Gotti. They both showed up. He said, "I need you to do me a favor." And he gave me a shoebox filled with money. I didn't know how much money was in there at that time, but it was $300,000. So what happened was John Gotti got wind of this, and he said, he had Anthony Rapino come over to me one night when I wasn't with Mark and said, "John wants to talk to you." So I went over and I said, "John, what's up?" And he said, "Are you holding money for Mark?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Do you know how much it is?" I said, "I really don't. I just know it's, you got to ask him. I don't know, but yeah, I do. I have it." So he's like, "Okay, I just wanted to know that." So I told Mark that, and he was like, "All right, that's fine." People got out. What he was trying to do was trying to move money around because his lawyer told him that indictments were coming down and they were all going to be indicted in the case. So he had money all over the place, I'm sure, because he was loaded. He was a ton of money. I think they were making back then, he was pulling in, because I recently visited him in federal prison this year.
Her story is one of survival, betrayal, and ultimately breaking free from the world of organized crime. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories. Thank you for watching.